Hello, everyone. This is Phil Yaeger, and welcome to my podcast. It is CPA Review and more. And once again, we're not going to talk about CPA Review. We're going to talk about more. And today's guest comes to us from Houston, Texas. Okay. You may say, is she a cowgirl? And I say, no, she looks like a regular person. Okay. She's on the screen now. Her name is Danielle. Is it Supkis? How do you pronounce it?
Supkis, but close enough. We can go with that.
And cheek. That's an interesting name. What is the word cheek? Where does that come from? You know?
That's Western Europe. So that one's my husband's name. Apparently, whoever immigrated over to the U.S. side had a scar on his cheek, and that's where the name came from.
You got to be kidding.
No. Or at least my husband was lying to me, if that's the case.
I mean, I fell for it, you know? So he's from, now, what does your husband do? You're the CPA.
He's a traffic engineer.
Oh, so you're both very intelligent people.
Nerds, yeah.
Nerds? Well,
yeah, we're self-proclaimed nerds. I live my best nerd
Why
life.
do you consider yourself a nerd? Why?
Oh, because what I get jazzed about and excited are the craziest, stupidest, really technical discussions. Like I really just enjoy those immensely. Like just the little nerd out moments where you get to just kind of get lost in your own brain. I tremendously enjoy.
Well, give me an example of something that you think makes you a nerd.
Okay, so I'm kind of excited about this.
Quick discussion. I'm not gonna.
Well, I won't go too deep, but because otherwise I'll lose everybody. But this past week, I've gotten to spend about 2 hours with our data scientist team in the past week or so, talking about how does our autoregressive model get impacted by either a deep V-shaped recovery from COVID versus a gradual recovery from COVID, and where do we get the distortion in the model? And it's been tremendously interesting, and yeah, I just,
you're gonna find this funny, but I was talking to someone about that also this week.
Oh, really? Okay, good.
Yeah, and we basically agreed it wasn't necessary. That's
the model or a correction?
Yeah, we cut off the conversation. We didn't want to.
We don't need to have the conversation.
We went on to other things like why debits have to equal credits and all that.
That's fair.
Okay.
But that's why I live my best nerd life. I'm happy with it. Mm-hmm.
Now, now you work for a company called MindBridge, right?
Yes.
And what is MindBridge exactly?
So we're pretty much a risk discovery platform that external auditors and internal auditors or Office of the Finance team can use to help augment their staff and be able to make them spend time on what matters more. Not doing as much.
Are you considered a consultant? Is that more of a consultant?
My role within the organization is a consultant, but the software is actually like a software platform, like a cloud-based software.
Well, can we go over this again? What do you do at MindBridge?
So I'm the VP of Strategy and Industry Relations.
And what does that encounter?
So it's a lot, but pretty much I get to read all the technical standards that I enjoy reading and figuring out how does that impact CPA firms and internal auditors and other regulator types, and figure out kind of the linkage, like how does our tool either help that standard, or what do we need to retool to make sure we match to the standard, and then help clients actually implement based on what the standards are showing.
Can you put that in layman's language a little, maybe?
I kind of handle
for example, you go into work, right? Are you working out of your home now?
Yeah.
Now tell me what you do on what is your job? You start in the morning, and what do you do?
Well, like most people, I answer a lot of emails and answer messages in Slack on technical things, but really it's taking my knowledge base of what's happening in the profession and answering questions about how is it something relevant to somebody? Like, why does it matter? And really answering the question why something matters for a bunch of different stakeholders.
Well, give me an example. Would I come into your office? All right. Or does the staff come into your office with problems?
No, I'm remote. We're based out of Canada, and we have also New York offices and London, and we're also moving an office into Austin. So I'm based in Houston, so I've gone to some of our offices and met people, but most of the time it's just a message to me, and then I go get on a virtual meeting with somebody. And
So someone
talk through.
tells you something about, I'm trying to get this, very simple. How would I get involved with you if I worked in your company?
You message me and say, I need help. That's it.
What help do I need?
Usually something about why does something matter to our customers or a regulator.
All right, such as, give me an example. What would matter to your customers?
For example, there's a new technology ethics interpretation that is expected to come out this month that's going to put additional requirements on how to assess technology vendors. And so do we have everything in place to be able to comply with that new standard is something I'm talking about internally.
This standard is just your company, or is it?
No, this one's from IESBA, so the International Ethics Group.
Oh, there's an international ethics group.
Yes.
Is that a separate, that has nothing to do with the AICPA, does it?
I'm actually the U.S. representative from the AICPA to their small and medium practitioners group. So in the sense that the AICPA is a member, there is a relationship there, but it is a different organization. So it's not the same as the U.S. ethics group called PEAK.
All right, so you deal with international ethics, right? All right. Is that what
one of them? Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, let's go back to me. I come into your office, all right?
Yes.
I have some new technology I want to introduce to the company. Okay.
Yes.
Am I saying this right? All right. Now, I turn to you and I say, all right, is this technology, is it useful to our company? Or is that what it is? It's useful to our company? All right. Yeah. Is that what I'm trying to sell to you?
Yeah. So for example, like we will have one of our data scientists come, and this is because my background's actually in forensic accounting, we had this happen where a data scientist needed to come up with test data to see if some of our algorithms would find certain types of fraud. So he wanted me to come up with different types of frauds that would be interesting in a data set that we'd either detect or not detect, and then run it through our system to see what we picked up. So, the end result was trying to think of ways of what kind of fraud could I think of that wouldn't be detected by our system. And I tremendously struggled with that. Yes, that's what happens, but it's also on the customer and the client side too.
And I just realized what gives you the expertise to do this is that you are a forensic accountant, right?
Yes. Yes.
Now you came out of college with an accounting background, accounting major.
Not as an undergrad. As an undergrad, I was political science, economics, and policy studies.
Wow, that's interesting. Why political science? What did you want to do?
I wanted to be work on Capitol Hill kind of thing and influence policy.
Really? And did you try to get that position?
I had that position and I decided that was not the right fit and I needed to find something else.
One of those positions. And who did you report to? What did you do?
A congressman. Yeah, so I worked on Capitol Hill working for a congressman.
Would we know his name?
No, because he got redistricted out. And so he ended up getting only one term. And so, but what it showed me was the side of, I couldn't anticipate people's behaviors and actions. People did not do what they say they were going to do, as we can probably guess from the political environment. I was kind of the young Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, overly idealistic person thinking I could actually impact change.
Most people have never seen that movie.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, that's, would you
recommend it?
It's an old
one. It's an old one. Just think idealistic person going out to Washington thinking they're going to make a difference. And
and that was Jimmy Stewart. Was that Jimmy Stewart?
Yes, it was. Yep.
Yes. Very, it dates back, it's, actually, it's not.
It's in black and white. Is all we need to do for dating.
And I'll tell you something. These movies, the actors, Jimmy Stewart. I don't know if any of you ever heard of Jimmy Stewart, but these were people who came from the Broadway stage, all right? And they actually had to learn their lines, all right? And if you watch the movies, like today, you go to a movie, someone says, "Oh yes, how are you?" And they flip to another, they keep. And they edit this whole thing together. Those movies, you'd have Jimmy Stewart, he would be doing a long speech, and he had to memorize that speech. Those were great movies. But anyway, that's another story. All right, so you went to Washington, is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you lived there? How long did you live there?
Only a couple months. And then I came back to Houston and worked in the district office.
Would you have liked, did you like Washington, D.C. to live there?
I actually really like the city. I'm quite a fan of the city.
Yeah, where did you live? I'm outside of Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
I live in Rockville, Maryland.
Okay.
Which is a suburb, Montgomery County.
Okay.
Right?
I was in Eastern Market
Yes,
because it
course.
was close.
Yeah.
I could walk. So I could either take the subway in, I was only one stop away, or on nice days I could walk. So it was super convenient.
That's the way I went to Catholic University every day. I went from Shady Grove Road, for those that don't know where that is, all right, to Union Station. Now they have so many different colored lines, it's confusing, but all right. Well, sorry you weren't still a resident.
Well, I happened upon accounting, and it was actually because my mom had told me when I went off to college, she gave me a couple nuggets of advice. One of them was, no matter what you do, take an accounting class. So I took an intro to accounting class, didn't do overly well in it, but was like the subject matter kind of stuck with me, and I thought it was fairly elegant. It kind of worked. It made sense in my brain. And so then when I decided to not do political science, because it wasn't really the right fit for me at the time, I was like, well, what can I do to get a job? Happened upon accounting, and
And you went back to you went to Rice University in Houston
for my undergrad.
For accounting.
No. For the undergrad was in that political science stuff. So what ended up happening is, at the time there was a massive shortage of accountants, which not unlike today. So EY was actually recruiting because Jim Turley was the chairman at the time. He had gone to Rice when we did have a MAC program. And so they recruited people that didn't have any background in accounting, but just had the aptitude for accounting by their measure. And then sent us all off to, actually, you got to pick to either go to UVA or Notre Dame, but you had to get in, of course.
Good schools, good schools, very good schools.
Yeah, so I went to UVA to get my master's of accounting, and then was at EY. So close to DC as well. And that's actually why I picked UVA over Notre Dame, because it was closer to.
Did you work for EY in DC?
No, I worked for EY Houston.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I went back and forth.
All right. So you got your master's degree in accounting, right? Now, when you went into accounting, because your mother told you to take a course in accounting?
Yes.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, take at least one accounting class so you can actually understand what is going on.
Okay. Did you like the introduction to accounting?
Yeah, it was mediocre to me. It just seemed to make sense. Like I didn't overly struggle with the concepts, but it wasn't this life-changing course that you would think it would be. It was, well, I understood it. I did well enough in it. And I really like a job right now. There's a shortage of accountants. And so it wasn't this like, it wasn't this like calling that I must be an accountant. But what's really funny is, once I became an accountant and really figured out what accounting is, oh my God, I can't imagine doing anything else. And
what is
my
accounting?
mom goes,
what is
I
accounting?
should have known. I'm sorry.
What's accounting to you?
Oh, again, the nerding out over so to me, it's more
nerding out.
Yeah, nerding out. So it's a bigger, broader concept. So it's not just the debits and credits to me. It's all that behind the scenes that happens in running a business. So to me, it's a lot of the back office of the business. It's not just, audit, tax, and whatnot. To me, all the different advisory services and all the different consulting and all the different kind of nuanced specialty fun things that stem from, I understand how to read financial data and other kinds of data that tie into financials. Therefore, I can understand all these different things at play and understand how they all interact. So if I understand,
they all come together. That's right.
Exactly. Because if you understand how the debits and credits work in the sense of it's all interconnected, and you understand that when something happens in one place, it's got to happen somewhere else too. There's an offsetting number somewhere. And so when you start understanding the interconnectivity of the back office of a business, that's what I think is accounting. And so I fell in love with it. And my mom actually said, I should have known better, because as a kid, you were always running around with am I allowed to say damn clipboard? And trying to it effectively inventory things and reorganize things.
You could have been a football head coach with that little book.
That's true. But, I just didn't know about accounting as a kid. I didn't know about it as an undergrad really much, except for the accounting class. I kind of fell into it, but it was the right fit.
Now, you remember, people, you know what? I am convinced that people are not going into accounting maybe or taking the CPA exam because they don't know what a CPA does. I think they have this idea that we're a bunch of, no personality people, all right? And all we do is crunch numbers. And, I'll tell you why, because I know every time I go into a restaurant with people, and the check comes, the split it, they always say, give it to Phil, he's an accountant. And I always say, I don't want,
so I don't really fit the stuffy accountant mold. So to me, what's really appealing to me is this is going to sound bad about myself, but I know that I get bored easily doing the same repetitive tasks. I know there's a lot of accountants that love that. And it's almost a game against yourself of how efficient can you be and how fast can you close type things. But for me, that's not what excites me. What excites me is the kind of like new and different and the high thought, figuring out the puzzle that my brain hurts. Like I want that.
Is that what you're doing now? Is your job?
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. But if I wasn't in accounting, I'd probably be one of those people that had to change jobs every 2 or 3 years because I'd be so bored in whatever repetitive tasks I was doing. And so to me, getting to do a lot of forensics and it's not the same number crunching.
You had to get your CPA, correct?
Oh yeah. Now, you kind of have to get that to do all the fun stuff.
You decided to say, I heard about this forensic accounting. Is that what happened?
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
Well, how'd you find forensic accounting? Did someone tell you?
I will have to be careful what I say on this. I was doing a lot of internal consulting work at something and turned out I had a knack for, let's go with general investigations and e-discovery and building out like things from data. And so as I was doing a good job on some projects, we realized, oh my gosh, we can actually sell this and Danielle can actually do this. And I was like, and I'm enjoying it. I'm loving this kind of investigations nature of things. And so I went and got I already had the CPA. So I got a couple other credentials. I got a CFE for the fraud examination, and then I got a CVA for the valuation side as well. And so I kind of just started doing it for clients with the support of my firm at the time. And it kind of just grew from there. So I've gotten to do all kinds of investigations. I've done a Ponzi scheme investigation where we got a civil and criminal ruling that it was a Ponzi scheme. That one's kind of one of those career toppers to actually have a real Ponzi scheme and not just something that's, this is actually some kind of other fraud that's not actually a Ponzi scheme, but people call it a Ponzi scheme anyway. I had one that was a weird corporate takeover situation, and we got to go in behind this kind of crazy team of people. And because I was on site so much in the situation, I actually had a security team and a security detail with me. And so my guy that followed me around everywhere I went on the facility was a former SEAL team guy. And so, I mean, it's really cool stuff. Like most people probably don't know that pens freeze in freezers. Like you have to remember to bring a pencil. And so all these like cool, weird things that you get to do and know.
All right, we just froze for a second. Okay. And you were talking about a SEAL team. That was
yeah.
All right, can we start it? Yeah, we're gonna edit this out. Okay.
Yeah. So one of the projects I did was we came in behind a corporate takeover situation that was a little bit weird. But the cool part was I came in behind with everybody and I had to have my own security detail because the nature of the situation. So we kind of brought an entire private security team, and the guy that was in charge of following me around was a former SEAL team guy. And his job was literally to just follow me around everywhere I went on the facility as we were trying to, conduct our investigation to handle the situation.
So you had protection? You had protection?
Yeah.
All right. So what did you ever get concerned that
No, not at that one. I thought that one wasn't actually as problematic. I've had others that I didn't have a security detail and was like, I need a security detail. So, after I had a couple of those situations, we started putting into some contracts depending on the situation. If we were going to, depending on the nature of the situation, that they'd be required that they also pay for a security detail. So we had one. We ended up not getting the project probably because we took kind of staff security so so seriously because it was going to be a really questionable situation. So, but I had one where I knew that the corporate, no, excuse me, not the corporate, the government regulators were going to come in and raid the place. So I was on the team to get a phone call once they raided this place and just kind of go through all the records and be ready to go. And I was like, please, 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 can I come? And they're like, no, you're not allowed to come on the actual raid. We'll call you after. And I was like, but I need to do the interviews and I need to do the real-time interviewing. And so, I've gotten to take a lot of like law enforcement interviewing skills type stuff for my job too.
Do you ever testify against some real shady characters that you could be afraid of, or?
So I keep a very, you'll notice if you do a lot of research on me, there's a lot of public stuff about me, but I keep a lot of stuff private. Like you will not find pictures of my kids online. I'm really, really protective of making sure my kids' pictures never get online. Most of the stuff I've done is pretty focused on white collar. And there's not a lot of criminal convictions in that space, mainly because the justice system is pretty behind on white collar crimes. And, in Houston, at least, human trafficking is getting priority in the justice system, which probably it should. The problem is that there's just not enough bandwidth to prosecute some of these criminal cases. So I've only worked on a couple criminal side matters. And those are the ones I am usually a little bit more worried about, but I haven't been. The most of the stuff I've done is in the solid middle market and to the larger business. So it's a little bit less concerning from that perspective. Growing up, my mother was an attorney and we had some situations where she was on high profile cases and we'd need a security detail at the house. So I've been, I kind of grew up with having that risk and that knowledge. And so I just keep it keep it kind of buttoned up, if you will, and kind of aware of the risks of the situation.
You don't have to carry a gun, do you?
No.
Okay. We have a place in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It's a second, I'm not trying to impress you or anything, but there's signs up there that a lot of human trafficking goes through Myrtle Beach. Is that true?
I have no idea. I don't.
South Carolina. Yeah. It's just, oh God. All right. So anyway, couldn't you have, now what you're doing is, couldn't you get a job with the Federal Bureau of Investigation and done the same thing?
Yes, they tried to recruit me.
Oh, they did.
So yeah, and actually I did the FBI Citizens Academy. So it's a really cool place. The issue is where I was already getting too old. I was aging out pretty quickly.
You were too old for the FBI?
I was getting close because you have to get in at a certain time to be able to get your years before you're mandatory retired. So all your FBI agents.
What is too old at the FBI?
It's like close to 30, I think.
You'll
have to get the number. It's either 30 or 35. But I thought it was closer to 30.
And what would you have done there? White collar crimes?
Oh, yeah. So they're short accountants. Like the FBI is hiring accountants up there, and data scientists and computer forensics people. So it used to be the case that you had to be outside of school for a couple of years, kind of very similar to like an MBA, and then you can go into the FBI. But the issue has been it's so hard to get accountants and computer like forensics people that they started recruiting right out of school. So accountants are highly sought after at the FBI. You get to do some really cool stuff. The reason I wanted to go in, and I was kind of excited about it, was that you get access to data sets that you don't get as a public. So there's these STARS reports of the suspicious activity at bank accounts, and you pretty much get access to these cool databases. So you can do all this other investigation with all this data that you just don't get in the public sector. And so, they really wanted me. I really wanted to go, but there's at one of those points in my career and my personal life that the only way to stay together with my husband was for him to go to the FBI as well, due to the nature of his job. And so he is a white male that is a engineer type. So he would not go in the same class. So it would probably have meant that we would have been apart for, at the time, I did the math, and I think it was about 18 months because of the timing of when things would have kind of landed. So it was just not the right time in my career to do it. But they did let me then do Citizens Academy, which is like the boosters cheerleaders club for the FBI?
Well, I did a live CPA review course in Bethesda, Maryland, and in Roslyn, Virginia, Arlington.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I used to have one of these FBI people come in every 6 months. Did you take the exam? Was all 4 parts at the time? Did you take that one? Or?
No. I was in the computer, but it's still on the old CRT monitors that flash, and I actually got nauseous during one of the sections.
No, we took it where we had 2,500 people, all right, in Baltimore. All right, that's where I took it. And then they also gave it at the where they give it at the DC the Armory. Where they give it?
Okay.
They get Dallas, near Dallas Airport. They had the Virginia exam, but we would have classes, and I stood up there and actually taught people live, totally live, unlike that other course that claims they're live. Okay, I won't mention their name, but it starts with a B. All right, they claim that's a live class, but it's not. All right, I stood up there and I'd bring in this person from the FBI, and she maybe recruited over a period of 6 years, one person, okay? One person. And that person went there as soon as they got their CPA. And I said to that person, why did you go to the FBI? And the guy said, I get to pack a piece. I said, you get a gun? Is that why you joined the FBI? It was a lot of traveling. They have you travel all over the place. But and I think also the fact is, it probably is an interesting job because on that show on TV, the FBI, they make it look so much fun, don't they? And they solve a case in 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's a little bit more work than that. It's a little bit slower.
An hour maybe, an hour.
Like, for example, I felt bad. One of my staff had to, for that Ponzi scheme investigation, we had so many cash transactions where they were trying to move money between entities that I had to make him vouch. I think there's about 2,000 transactions, both sides, the inflow and the outflow side, and then try to match them up. It took him about 40 to 45 hours to do all the vouching. And I pretty much just told him, I was like, I don't care what you need to like jam out to music. Please just don't quit on doing this. I will let you do whatever cool work after this one. I get it. Just please, please don't quit, because I need somebody to do this task. And what was really cool is that he actually found a couple other fraud schemes along the way because he was paying attention. And what's great is that some of that stuff's getting automated now. And so, your kind of earlier years as a CPA or a staff, you don't have to do some of that really back-breaking, tedious work that's just monotony. And you're kind of starting to get into, like, I get to start analyzing data early on in your career right now with some of the cool bells and whistles and tools that are out there.
You love detail work, don't you?
I like detail work and being in the details. I don't necessarily want to go back and vouch tons and tons of transactions myself, but I do like the details and the nuance.
How about mailing out the confirmations? Did you like that?
No, I did not enjoy mailing. I like doing a mail stuffing and a mail merge and then getting all the letters printed, putting all the stamps on and the stickers. I mean, that's not really the highest and best use of my time. It's more.
But you had to get the CPA to get into the forensic accounting.
Yeah, right? Yeah, you kind of have to.
And now, how was the forensic accounting exam? Was it very hard? How did you find it compared to the CPA exam?
I thought it was easier than the CPA. I thought the CPA was harder. To me, it's much easier to get some of those extra certifications once you have a CPA. They pretty much use the CPA as hey, you have a CPA, you've already gone through the ringer, you've already done the test, if you will. And so they usually give you less requirements to go get those extra credentials.
Wow. But I would think they're having trouble getting people in forensic accounting because they're having trouble getting CPAs.
Yeah. So, I mean, the whole talent shortage in general. So there's that. Forensics is sometimes one of those ones that's perceived to be cooler. So sometimes that can help a little bit.
I know this is not your area that I'm going to ask you a question on, but I'm just curious. And I discussed this with you a few minutes. There is a shortage of people taking the CPA exam. All right. You are aware of that. Okay. Yes. Do you have any idea why that might be? And if you did, all right, what is wrong? Why are not, when I took the exam, there were 2,500 people in Baltimore, all right? And God, everyone, you got out of college and took the CPA exam, all right?
Yep.
Now, today, they are getting out of college, but there's no rush to take the CPA.
So to me, this is a problem related to how particularly our profession has innovated or lack thereof in certain cases. Rice has done some work on this, and the MAC program struggles to get candidates as compared to MBA style programs or business undergrad or something like that. And the reason is, if you look at some of the starting accounting salaries versus some of the other starting salaries that are coming out of a B school, even undergrad, you're just not getting your same bang for buck for the amount of education. You just aren't getting the same starting salaries. Now, you accelerate pretty quickly, and you have a lot of optionality toward the middle to end of your career. Like, there's a ton of options, and you kind of make it all back up. But those early stage markers of, is this valuable because I need to have a job now and I need to know what I'm getting now? Because honestly, most students do not have the data set, like the information to know how fast their career trajectory can be, and the optionality of getting a degree that allows you, or getting a license that allows you to do so many different things versus kind of pigeonholing you to be overly specific. So, for example, my husband has always lamented that his license makes him extremely narrow scope and specific versus a license that opens up doors and to do more things versus being overly prescriptive and narrow scope. So to me, it's the firms needing, and the profession in general, needing to get those starting salaries up. And they get the starting salaries up by not having first year staff that are like either CPA eligible or CPAs do exactly what you said, confirmations. Why was I stuffing envelopes with a CPA? That is not a task that a CPA needs to do. I don't have to be a CPA to stuff an envelope. And so now there's, I'll use a vendor name, there's confirmations.com, that in most cases, you don't even need to stuff an envelope and don't need a mail, you do it digitally. And so there's software out there that also helps automate and leverage and facilitate some of those manual steps that need to be done. Once you change the model of how the work is done, and you change the CPA eligible or the CPAs to be those high thought people that are analyzing the information that are coming out of systems and kind of the curators of information rather than the creators of information, that's when the model can change. You can get the starting salaries up because you're not making them lackeys of like just doing copy type stuff.
Well,
and then that makes it more attractive. It's to me, it's a financial situation because the profession has been very scared of some of the new technology because of, and sometimes it's because the regulation system highly regulates our profession, and people are afraid to innovate because, am I going to upset a regulator because I did something in a new way? And I think in the loss, honestly, COVID has become the pivot point for people to realize you can innovate and you pretty much have to. And I'm seeing a pretty drastic change before and after. So I'm really hoping that, there's something that's a benefit of this talent shortage that we're in right now, that people realize that we need to change the model.
But, and I agree with you, because I had spoken to a lot of CPAs who they sold their practices and they started learning about the PPP loans, and they became experts in that, and they started making a lot more money and they enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Now
I was on our PPP team. I enjoyed helping people when I was in public. I will say it was a lot of stress of the unknown. It was extremely stressful.
I know they changed it every day.
And you know what? That's got to be what our clients are feeling like our non-CPA clients that are always kind of like in the dark about what's happening. And they turn to us for help. And I'm just as in the dark as you are, and trying to anticipate that, to me, that's probably what a regular person feels like on most of this financial stuff. So it gave me a lot of insights into how do I need to kind of communicate so that other people don't feel like they're in the dark and feel like they have some control, because when you're that in the dark, you don't feel like you're in control.
You said that, first of all, we have 5 years of education, right? CPA. All right.
Yep.
You can go 4 years and you can become an IT. All right. And your starting salary is higher, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I don't know when the person who takes the CPA exam, all right, how long does it take for them to catch up for the differentials? Do you have any idea?
I haven't actually done any research on that. I know the Rice Mac program did some research on at least in the business school world, but it's very similar to the IT world in that concept.
And they're starting this evolution January 1st, 2024. All right, just around the corner. Mm-hmm. And first of all, it sounds really good. We want to keep this profession current. Now you can specialize in other areas. All right, you take a core exam, you can specialize in other areas. All right, but all right, the experience requirement remains the same. Now, the big problem is people don't want to go into public accounting. All right, they just don't want to do it. The people coming out of school, they don't want to work 60, 70 hours a week. All right, they want to have their 9 to 5. They want some quality of life. So they look at public accounting and they say, we work all these extra hours, all right, and we don't even get paid for them. And then the firms say, oh yeah, well, we're including that in your annual salary, all right. But the thing is, all these firms, they are making that money for the extra time, and they're not giving anything to a lot of the employees. And that's not really good. And what's happening is there is a gentleman in New York, I'm not going to mention names, who's at the examination division, and he thinks the CPA is just a license to do public accounting. So he's, that's showing this, this guise of, well, we believe you can go into compliance this, compliance that. So you don't have to just be in public accounting. But bottom line is, hey, that's great. You still have to get public accounting experience. All right. Wake up. And I'll tell you another thing. All right. You know who determines whether this is going to go through or not? Just that little group of people in New York at the examination. All right. Years ago, they tried to change the name of the CPA to a cognitor. You ever heard that?
A what?
Cognitor. Okay.
Oh, no, I wasn't aware of that.
And this was in the late 70s. And they decided cognitor sounds really sexy because the CPA is just a credential for, US. And if we want to go international, we're going to have to now change it from a CPA to a cognitor. All right. Well, all right. It required the unanimous, a unanimous vote by the members of the CPA. It was unanimously turned down. No one wanted to call themselves a cognitor. All right. They wanted to be a CPA. All right. Now they're passing this through, and the only ones voting on it is them. No one. They did a study. Do you know 72% of people don't know what the evolution is? 72% don't know. And I am trying to, I don't know how much I can do, but I think I'm concerned about the profession. That unless they recognize the problems, and I'm saying
I can't speak to most of that. I will.
I'm just.
Yeah, so I'll just disclose that I was on the CPA Evolution Curriculum Committee related to the BAR, the Business Analysis and Reporting. I think it's the right. Oh, hopefully that's the right acronym. Otherwise, I'm embarrassing myself if I can't get the acronym right. No. But it was mainly of what do the universities need to include in their curriculum to make the future CPAs, ready with the tools that they need. So there's a lot of data analytics, and it's a lot of the skills that are needed to be functioning ready. So from I can't really speak to all the political situation of behind the scenes of the
universities don't want anybody to dictate to them what their curriculum should be.
Oh, well, and it wasn't a dictation. It was, here's an example. And so there's a model, an example. And so, the committee was in no position to be able to dictate anything. But what it did do is provide a lot of resources and tools, because here's the tricky part is, to retool, to be able to keep up with everything I talked about on the innovation side, to be able to make it so you can analyze data, means you have to actually understand all these things behind the scenes and be able to come out of school and analyze the data. mean, that means hitting the ground running. That's hard to do.
Such as digital analytics, right?
Yeah. And accounting is still very much an apprenticeship-based system. And a lot of students are learning when they get out of school, they're learning how to actually do their job by on-the-job training, a very apprenticeship system. And so if we're automating a lot of those early level tasks, how do we make somebody so they're actually capable of doing their job right out of school? And so that was the kind of the directive to the task force that I was on, of what are those skills that they need, and what
they do need them.
Be ready
and
for
I
them.
agree with you, but
yeah.
All right, putting this through to start January 1st, 2024. That's just around the corner. All right.
Yes.
All right. Hey, we agreed that all the schools have to hire people to have the skills to teach this stuff. All right. And why does it have to be in it? Like 2024 is just around the corner. I mean, I think that's the thing. It's like, let's ram this through, and let's do it right, and let's like turn people. First of all, people don't like change.
Right? I'm aware. So I'm in the business of selling change.
You sell change? You sell Bitcoins? Or no, I'm just kidding.
No. I actually do a lot of cryptocurrency accounting though. But I'm in the business of change. Like if you think about it, the standards are changing. That means, people are having to deal with the change management related to that. I work at an AI auditing company. Like that's change. That's fundamentally changing things.
Can you deal with all these people in the field accounting at the colleges and train them for change by January 1st?
Yeah. So I mean, I can only speak to my personal experience, but I've been at Rice for 6 or 7 years since the relaunch of their program. We've been teaching data analytics, and I personally been teaching the data analytics since the relaunch of that program. And last year or the year before, we actually split my one class into 3 classes because the firms needed it. And MindBridge, the company I happen to work for, also gives their software to the universities to train, and has training modules for the universities. And honestly, our competitors do the same, and all the other major data analytics packages do the same thing. So there's resources at the university levels. Now, it's hard to train the professors that don't work in the space on a regular basis. That's why they're going to kind of people like me to bring in some external expertise. But all the software vendors also do train the trainers and build out model like examples and curriculum. So it's what the profession needs to be able to survive, to be able to move into that space in the first place. And it's what makes us more attractive as a profession, because we're not making staff stuff envelopes. Like that's just crazy. So, at some point it has to change. I really don't have an opinion on if 1/1/24 is too soon or not.
I think so. But anyway.
but at some point it's got to change, and mainly because the skills that we're testing. So I'll tell you that I failed the tax section my first try. I was really busy at work, did not have time to study. I actually tried to take tax at a time when I had less busy time, and take audit when I was super busy, because I'm an auditor. I should hopefully be able to take audit without studying too much. Well, my busy season flipped on me, and I, kind of was stuck. So you probably don't want to hear this, but I did a very minimal job studying on the tax side. It was probably embarrassing, but I was like, you know what? It's scheduled. Let me just show up and see how I do. 74. And I was like, and what it was.
That hurts, right?
It really hurt. It really, really hurt. And here's the thing. I caught the same question of how much passive loss. So I did not study thresholds. I didn't do it because I just thought,
they don't ask that on the exam. You know that?
Why would they test thresholds? Oh. They're going to test concepts. That's how you test. And I caught that I had the same question like 3 or 4 times related to how much passive loss can you deduct against active income kind of concept, like a passive loss concept. And I did not know the answer. I did not know what the threshold was. But I knew that I was seeing the same question every time. So I just answered a different number every single time, because that's what you do to hedge your bets. And had I known that one question answer, I would have passed. But I didn't know a threshold, and that's the point that made me fail. I'm sorry, that doesn't mean that the old exam was doing a good job.
You think that was it?
Well, I failed a lot of other things. I clearly didn't get enough questions right.
Do you remember the weaker areas you got on the diagnostic?
No, because I just knew all I needed was one more or a couple more points. And so to me, and honestly, when I was taking the exam, I knew when I was doing concept related things, I was doing well. I was like, I understand the question. I'm seeing answers that are reflective of what of my thinking. I'm probably doing okay. When it came to anything related to a threshold, because I knew I didn't study it. And I looked at it, I was like, I have no idea what the threshold is. Why would I know what the threshold is? That's something I can look up every year. They change every year.
That's right. That's right.
Why would I test on a threshold? And so to me, the old exam was broken anyway. And so while I realize change is hard for everybody, it's not like the old thing was perfect. And so, and to me, how did that make me a better professional or not? If I could remember a threshold versus having my little, the plastic cards they give you every year and looking it up or Googling it. I mean, so I hear your point, Phil, but I kind of come from a different perspective on it of we're not teaching our students what they need to know to be successful.
I agree with you, and that's the problem.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad we agree in a repeated voice.
Maybe I'm sorry. I wasn't clear. I think you have to know all this digital analytics. You have to know cloud accounting. You have to know all this stuff. Artificial intelligence will be. Now, the problem is, though, they have to first find professors, all right, who know this stuff, and not the smaller schools have those people, all right? But the smaller schools are not going to take a different CPA exam, all right, than the larger schools. That's all I'm saying,
Okay, yeah, I mean, that's fair. I mean, that's always the concern is resource capacity and all those different things. It's an age-old tale.
Danielle, I enjoyed having you on, all right?
And it's been great to be here.
You are not nerdy. I don't care what you say. All right.
It's because I didn't wear the right glasses. I wore too cool of the glasses, not my really nerdy, thick rimmed glasses.
You want to go run and put them on? I mean,
no, it's okay.
No, you look. I like those glasses. And
thank you.
I'm sure you look good in the dark frames too. You know what? Makes you you smile. You smile. That's good. I mean, when I talk to a person, they look like if they smile, their face would crack. But no, you.
Well, but see, here's the thing: is that this stuff is fun, and honestly, when you do work as an expert witness, you kind of learn that when people have tough conversations, you're not attacking each other. You're kind of making your points of view known, and it's kind of the world I live in, and it's kind of a fun place where you're always challenged and your brain is always working, and that's what I love about it.
And would you agree that if you're an expert witness, you can't get too emotional?
Oh, yeah. No, if you internalize it, because here's the thing, it's all a game. And so, I've had one where somebody attacked me pretty heavily on the stand. And then, and of course I was fine. And then afterwards pretty much gave me their business card and pretty much said they'd be calling me in the future because I withstood the attack so well that they want to use me in the future. So there's a lot of stuff when you get into some of the different nuances of professions that things become a little bit more games, and you just can't internalize the stress and kind of just, again, I really do love the nerdy little things in life and derive a lot of joy out of it. So
hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Hey, you like going to work every day?
Yeah,
so
I totally do.
One thing. Yeah, hey, I can see that because when I said that, you started smiling.
Yeah. I get to figure out what do I get to do today? What do I get to nerd out on autoregressive models? Like, this is great.
Can I tell you something? I really like you.
I like you too, Bill.
Yeah, I know you're such a nice person.
Thank
anyway, by the way, for those who are requesting pictures of her children, forget it. She's not going to show you that.
No, that one you will not get. But if you need help rolling out a university program, that's something I can help with.
Yes,
no pictures of my children.
And actually, you can find Danielle, and she is on LinkedIn, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right. Is that the best place to find you?
Yeah, that's a great place. Yeah.
And her last name is, this is very, Danielle Cheek. Just remember Cheek. Okay. Cheek. All right. And she fooled me. What did you say that was? It was.
Yeah, it was a scar apparently on whoever came over on my husband's side.
Okay. You're funny too. All right.
Oh, well, I'm glad you think so. Again, my husband doesn't think I'm funny, but I'm good at dad jokes and stupid accounting jokes.
How long have you been married now? How many years you married?
Oh, 11 years.
Well, after a while, you don't laugh. It's different. The honeymoon period is over. It really is. But anyway, I think you're funny. Okay.
Oh,
I
thank
think
you.
you're funny. And by the way, I want to wish you happy holidays,
Thank you.
happy new year, and I wish you good health, you and your family. All right. And may next year, the heck with this COVID anymore. I'm tired of this stuff, All
For
right.
sure.
You think we'll go back to normal? I don't know.
Well, I don't think there is a new there. I don't think there is
That's
old
right.
normal
It's
ever
a
is going
new
to exist
normal.
again.
It's a new normal.
Yeah, whatever new normal is. Yeah, we'll eventually get to new normal because by definition we'll get there.
You smile at everything. I think that's great.
Okay, I'll try to button it up.
No, I like no. I see. I joke about everything, so I love people who smile. I really do. All right, life's too short. If you don't smile, what are you going to walk around with it being a grump? No.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough way to go.
Life's tough enough.
Yep.
Smile. Anyway, Danielle, thank you again. And ladies and gentlemen, today was our guest Danielle Cheek, Cheek. All right, she's on LinkedIn. Look her up, and I'm sure if you contact her with questions, maybe forensic accounting, she'll take the time, and probably get back to you. All right.
Yep,
and of course,
I
you
can
get
do that.
10,000 letters. Forget it.
Yeah, I can respond to LinkedIn messages. I can handle that.
Good. All right. Anyway, thank you, everyone. As I say, during this trying period we've had over the past 2 years, I really thought people would be maybe a little nicer. They were staying home, but go out, whether it's the supermarket or whatever, people are just as nasty or nastier than you were before. So, all right, you can be different. Just be nice to people, All right. I talk to everyone when I go into a Safeway or whatever, and I say something I can think of as funny and make them smile. And you know what? They remember me. Okay. They're not going to remember the people who are crabby. So please be nice to people. If I can get that one point across, then I probably accomplished a lot. So Danielle, you take care, stay well, and thank you for being on the show. Okay.
So you're welcome,
care.
And you too.
And, we'll get a copy of this to you.
Sounds great.
It'll be edited.
Okay.
And the guy who does the editing, he's away for the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
So, all right.
Not a problem.
All right. Take care, everyone. Phil Yaeger. Be good.